3 weeks after Helene made landfall in the Carolinas, recovery efforts are still underway. Hundreds of homes completely destroyed by flooding and downed trees, even more severely damaged. The focus for many now is how to start rebuilding.
Queen City News Chief Business Correspondent Taylor Young is joining us now. And Taylor, a lot of these property owners are hoping to be able to turn to their insurance here for help.
Yeah, and what made this storm so devastating for the mountain communities is, I do think a lot of people were expecting some level of flooding, but not to this extent. So because of that, there are so many property owners, we're talking business owners, homeowners, that do not have the insurance coverage that is needed to ultimately rebuild. So we have a lot of people right now in the western part of the state that are just in limbo trying to figure out what their next steps are. So if you remember, the day before the storm hit, we did talk about exactly what homeowners insurance covers and what it does not. So unfortunately, unless you specifically have flood insurance, assistance from FEMA might be your only option moving forward. So if you are a homeowner or own a business that was impacted by flooding, still file a claim with your insurance company, but also make sure that you're applying for FEMA relief. Now, I did speak with the commissioner of the Department of Insurance. While he could not at this point in time give me a number of how many claims have been filed so far, he says unfortunately many of them will not be covered. It is estimated that about 1% of homes impacted by Helene had flood insurance.
But we still encourage people to go ahead and file a claim. For example, you may think there's no coverage because you had flood damage. Well, let's say that a tree limb blew on your rooftop and punched a hole in your roof. That part may be covered. There may be some other things that could be covered.
Now, the department says it also currently has representatives out there in impacted areas helping those property owners file those claims.
So many people have said this is a once-in-a-lifetime storm. But is there anything that comes close to this that we can even compare this kind of damage?
Yeah, we can look back at Florence that hit 23 counties back in 2018. The department says there were tens of thousands of claims that were filed, and many of those claims are actually still being paid out today. But again, when we compare that, we can maybe compare it in terms of numbers, but what makes again this impact from Helene so severe is that how many those property owners do not have flood insurance. So they never thought that they needed it in the first case. And that, unfortunately, is one of the most tragic parts of all of this.
Right, because up until about 3 weeks ago, there's many people living in areas like Western North Carolina never thought that they would need this, never thought they'd have to consider that. Do you think we might see that change either in Western North Carolina or around other
I
mountain
do
communities?
Anticipate, given, this is a once in a lifetime, but again, if we have more hurricanes forming, this could happen again. So yeah, I do think that we're going to see an uptick in people at least maybe considering flood insurance again. That also costs money. It's estimated the average flood insurance policy costs between $800 and $1,000 a year. So when you put that on top of your mortgage payments, when you put that on top of your property insurance already, that's just, I think people are going to be crunching the numbers, kind of debating on whether that is worth it at this point. But yes, I do think that people are going to start wondering if they should maybe do that.
That $800 a year is worth it.
It's so sad to have to go, can we even rebuild? And if not, where do you go? If that's the only place you've ever lived, where do you pick up and start a new home? So golly. All right, thank you, Taylor. Appreciate it.